Oh! Lust is one of those silent killers. It sneaks up on you and you feel good at the moment, but it leaves you empty, distracted, and disconnected from your purpose. The world is full of daily kryptonite pulling you away from God vibrations, but if you don't check it, it will wreck you. Today I'm going to be breaking down 4 ways on conquering lust before it conquers you. So let's get into it. Number 1. So we're going to talk about point number 1. Number 1 is renew your mind daily. Lust starts in the mind. What you feed your thought become your reality. Replace temptation with scriptures, affirmations, and purpose-driven goals. Romans chapter 12, verse 2 says, "Be not of this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind." Let me jump off into this, right? I got my blueprint, but I got stuff to say too with this. Number 1, you're breaking yourself away from what reality and what the world brings to you as soft impressions on your subconscious. Oh, look that way, right? When you're supposed to be doing the internal looking within, right? Now, I'm not a religious person. I always like to say this. I'm a kingdom citizen, right? I'm a citizen of the kingdom of heaven. I was born in Detroit, but I'm from heaven, right? And so when looking at this, when you say scriptures, I look at it like the Constitution, right? If you're a citizen of the kingdom, you have a constitution. If you don't know your rights and your laws of the Constitution, and let alone what the promises were given to you by the king, then you don't know where you stand. You don't know who you are. You don't know where you come from. You think that you come from earth, and that's not the case. So when I say go to the scriptures, you get wisdoms and piece of wisdoms that most people around us and the other elites and people around us who are positioned themselves to give wisdom have acquired the information from scriptures, right? It's been changed in various ways and things like that, but more story, a lot of the wisdom comes from those scriptures, right? When we think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill's books, he has literally taken a lot of his content from the scriptures. So with that being said, affirmations, setting your mind and having a scripture for your mind will allow you to basically, when I say scripture, a dialogue, an inner dialogue, something that you tell yourself as you're on the mission, right? And so with that being said, you're focused in and you have a sentence or you have something to combat the inner dialogue, right? So if you're thinking a certain way, then you got something to replace that old thought with a new belief system. So you're being conscious and aware and tapped in and tuned in and turned on, right? A lot of the times, having this on my whole journey and being able to change verbiages, when people from the city I was born in, a lot of people like to say broke. Oh, I'm broke. I ain't got it. Da da da. I had to change that verbiage and I had to change where I got it from. That's not a part of my verbiage. I don't like talking like that, right? So I used to say, money comes to me in increasing quantities through multiple sources on a continuous basis. And I adopted that affirmation. I adopted that belief system, right? And understanding that a lot of it was repetition of me saying it over and over and over, especially when I felt a certain way, right? And if people ask me I ain't got money, that's not a part of my budget right now, right? And it's about reprogramming your mindset. It's about being conscious and effortless, being conscious and intentional about what you're trying to change, right? It says purpose-driven goal. Direct your mind, right? You're gonna have these distractions, but direct your mind on what the bigger picture is. What do I want? 5 years from now, 10 years from now, because 5 years is gonna come. 5 years are gonna come and it's gonna be like, yo, what do I have planned? What did I even set aside? Dang, 10 years went up. I ain't do nothing with that, right? You don't want that story, right? No one wants that story. But at the same time, you get people who just basically become numb and dumb to whatever's going around, and then they end up, next thing they blink, and it's 10 years now, right? And they just squandered that time, let alone maybe learned a lesson. But at the same time, if you could quantum leap, I would rather quantum leap, right? Point number 2, guard your eyes and your ears. Before I read this to you, let me give you this one. It says, stand guard at the door of your mind, because if you won't, someone else will, right? And it says guard your ears and your eyes. This is good because it says what you watch and what you listen to influences your desires. Social media, music, and even conversations plant lustful seeds, right? So you like, oh man, old girl is such a, she can get the fizzle, right? And even with playing with that thought playfully, you still are planting the seeds of the possibilities, right? And you have to know where your boundaries are so you don't go that far. So you can have an articulate way of saying, she's a beautiful lady, right? You ain't gotta be like a square or nothing with it, but you can pull back and maybe smile about a situation and not have too much to say about it, right? Because this is what your peers are talking about, right? And it also means change your circle. Set boundaries and ask yourself, is this drawing me closer to God, or is this pulling me away into more temptation? Asking yourself questions like this will allow you to, it will prompt your subconscious mind to then point out in your conscious mind when you're looking at things evident to answer your question. It's called the placebo effect, if I'm not correct. If I'm not mistaken, it's called the placebo effect. When you desire something, you bought a car, or you like, oh, I want this car, and then all of a sudden you start seeing this car after you either bought it or that you desire, you start seeing it pop up all over the place, right? You're like, damn, what the heck is going on? You fine-tuned your subconscious mind to give you the answer and the desire of what you've been seeking already. It's a key tool, right? You got to understand how the mind works, because elites have spent hundreds of trillions of dollars to understand how your subconscious mind works and how programming works, right? That's why they call it television or program, right? So understanding that, you understand I have to be more present within myself. I have to be more present in what I'm listening to and what I'm taking, because it's almost like opening your mouth and you're letting somebody feed you feces, right? You're not about to let that happen, because your mouth is like, wait a minute, yo, man, I'm not about to be eating no dookie, right? And you just become quite conscious, because whatever your eyes and whatever your ears hear, when you got a little one, you gotta watch how you're talking, because my kid right here, I don't really have that type of language, especially when you're present in the moment of who you are and the integrity that you hold and how you're cultivating your children. Point number 3, discipline your flesh. I got a lot to say on this one. A lot of times I've been tempted. I'm a married man, so a lot of times I've been tempted, and before I got married, my wife knew I had a lot of lovers and things like that. And at some point, there was something that clicked. Let me rephrase that. At some point, God clicked to me and was like, this is a good decision. You should move towards this way. Now, God don't tell you what to do. He displayed the possibility, and it's up to you to choose. And he displayed this woman, which is my wife. He displayed my wife in front of me. And in that point in time, I decided to see the value, see the blessings within what I was noticing and sensing, right? And I decided to leave behind what I was doing. I decided to move forward in knowing that this decision is not a forced decision. I knew that it was right because I had every inclination in my intuitive body, soul, and mind frame to move forward. Like, this is a good movement, right? And I've always been in tune into that frequency. So lust is a craving of the flesh, right? And I used to be like, man, you know what I'm saying? She looks good. And even now to this day, I still get that craving aspect if I see another woman, but it's about the discipline of maintaining your center of focus, maintaining the bigger picture, I'm taming the beast. I'm not gonna let the beast tame me, right? I'm not gonna be gullible and be all hunky-dory in every female face and she ain't even trying to give me the day of light. Why am I doing that? No, I need to be focused on the bigger picture. And what I realized is, even with being married, when you get married, as I got married, I'm gonna just tell you what my personal experience. I got married, man, and as soon as I changed my center of focus of focusing on my wife and focusing on the goal and focusing on my goals and aspirations and focusing on our vision, they started popping out the woodworks. Because my attention, whatever you desire, you can have a slight desire of it, but if you change your direction of focus and start focusing on other things, it will manifest to you easily. It'll start drawing in because it feels the path of least resistance, right? And this is something that I noticed. So a lot of times I was being tempted and it was like, nope, I don't want that heat. I don't want that smoke, right? That's dope and it's good to see and it's kind of tempting a lot of times, but there's something bigger here. There's more that I'm working on. It's not like my wife is not a developing person. So I have more than enough that I desire right now, and to build something with somebody else that could be a one night thing is like, it's not worth it, because at the same time that comes with attachment. That comes with, oh, I like you now, right? And it's like, oh, that wasn't even a thing. It's a whole lot of stuff that a lot of the times just don't need to be done because they're not even on the path that you're on. Moving forward, like I said on the first note, lust is craving of the flesh, but you don't have to give in, right? You can maintain your beast. You can control your beast. You can tame your beast. What helps with this? I've been on 4 fasts in my lifetime now. I did 2 in the beginning of 3-day fast. Second one was a 7-day fast, dry fast. And my fourth and last one is the Daniel fast. So fruits and vegetables and nothing else, cutting out all the fruit, all of the sugar, the artificial sugars, cutting out all of the dairy products, all of the cornstarch, all of the things that just not fruits and vegetables, right? So fasting, exercise, and practicing self-control builds the muscle of discipline. When the urge hits, direct your energy into something productive. So in the book of Think and Grow Rich, he talks about sexual transmutation, which is taking the desired needs and urges that you feel over here and putting them into, for instance, you got this idea of a clothing brand. You like, yo, I got this dope clothing brand. You start taking them urges and the feelings and you start directing them into something. What I was doing to direct them energy, and that energy I would convert it to creating choreography, to dancing. I would convert it to performing, and I would burn out because I could do that desire every day, right? This is what I love doing. And it still is to this day. So therefore, when it comes to it, I can convert that energy there because I know that I'm getting something deliciously from it, right? I'm creating, I am producing, I am being productive, and I'm also using that creativity to tell a story, right? So direct it in that path, right? Direct it in the positive, productive ways, right? And figure out and seek what those are. That might be writing songs, that might be poetry, that might be designing, that might be being a talker, that might be being a MC, right? Or when I say a talker, like a motivation speaker, whatever the case may be. Long story short, we got so many avenues today now more than ever to move forward on your goals, dreams, and aspirations and be producive, be fruitful, and multiply. There's so many goals and aspirations, so definitely take one of those and strive for it. Do not let your beast tame you because you're stronger than that. Point number 4, stay in divine alignment. I didn't understand prayer at one point, but now I understand it because I started asking the right questions. I started aligning myself on how to pray correctly and what does that look like. And I understand that worship is not just like what I looked at it through a religious viewpoint, right? Now I understand it more deeply, right? I'm giving glory, I'm giving thanks that God and Christ and that Jesus is King. And when you're under kingdomships, man, they own it all. God owns it all. Christ owns it all, bro. God owns it all. Abba owns it all. Jehovah Jireh owns it all, right? And when you understand that Jehovah Jireh owns it all, bro, you understand that none of it belongs to you. It all belongs to my Father. And you're able to position yourself in a way that you become obedient. You become soft, and you become not even just compliant, but you become submissive and vulnerable to your Father, right? You become submissive and vulnerable to a way where you're like, I don't want to do all of that by myself. I'm a beast in itself, right? I can do a lot of stuff, but I've already seen what it's like to try to handle it all by myself. When I'm talking about divine energy, why do you think I lean on to my intuition? My intuition is a part of you. So therefore, I'd rather lean on my intuition than lean on my logic. I'd rather lean on my imagination than lean on what I'm trying to perceive to be what. So prayer and worship keeps you tuned into God's frequency. It keeps you locked in consistent, constant contact with the kingdom. You're not only being an asker, but you are demanding what you believe through dominion.